Hi, my name is Sam Russell. I'm in my teaching studio in West London, and this short video today is to talk about the 4 different phases of building a guitar teaching business. So, these are 4 phases I've worked through myself and helping other people work through, and I think it's quite an effective way to go about becoming a guitar teacher. So, what's phase one? Well, let's quickly go through the 4 different phases. So you've got phase one, you're just testing things out, trying to get a couple of students, first 2 or 3 students, and getting a bit of an income from it and getting used to talking about lessons with people, booking people in, and starting to get used to teaching. Phase two, looking at advertising quite aggressively, getting a lot of students through the door reasonably quickly. Within 2 or 3 months, you can get yourself from having 2 or 3 students to 20, 25, maybe even 30. Phase three, looking at building out more systems so you don't have to advertise quite as aggressively to get students, and you can have more passive ways to advertise for having students come in. Looking at tightening up some of your systems, your lesson policy, things like that. So you're on top of the paperwork and administration side of things. And then the 4th phase is thinking about where do you want to go long term with this. You might be very happy with where you are. You might want to teach less hours but make the same amount of money. You might want to triple your income. All those are perfectly possible. And let's have a quick look at each phase and what it involves. So phase one, just getting started, you're testing out, can this guitar teaching thing work for you? Looking at just very simple ways to start advertising, things like door-to-door flyers, just talking to people, your friends, people in your local network, posting on social media, posting on local Facebook groups, things like that. And we're not looking to get dozens of students here, we're just looking to get your first 2 or 3 students. There's a few ways you can go about this, and in the future we're not going to be posting on Facebook every day, so don't worry if you think that's something you have to do for this program to work. That's not how it works at all. Just to get started, we want to do the 3 things we can do to get a couple of students in the door. So once you've done that, you're on to phase 2. How can you then take this from being something where you've got 2 or 3 students to having quite a serious teaching schedule? This is when we start to think about paid advertising and doing it properly. So we take the income you've got from your first 2 or 3 students, we roll that into paid advertising, and you should be able to get quite a few students quite quickly doing that. Ideally, the new students coming in pay for the advertising within a couple of weeks, and then after that it's just pure growth. And in the program we'll go through how to make adverts, how to set up the advertising campaigns, and I'll show you the adverts that I've used myself and which ones have worked and the results they got as well. That takes us on to, phase 3. So phase 3, you've got a lot of students coming through the door. Now phase 3, it might happen while you're still running phase 2, so you might be still running your paid advertising. The nice thing with paid advertising is once you set it up, you just let it run. You don't have to be posting on Facebook every day. You've created the advert and Facebook or whatever you're using is showing it to people for you. So phase 3, we're looking at tightening up your systems and the other aspects of the business. So things like, have you got a good lesson policy? What should go into a lesson policy? And how do you make one and get your students to agree to it? Making sure your Google listing, Google profiles are looking good. Making sure you have a website that's good and that's working as well. So there's a few ways you can make websites, or there's a lot of ways you can make websites. So how do you make a website that Google likes and makes sense to Google so Google shows it to people for you, which is what you wanted to do. So that's some of the things we go through in phase 3. So you're still probably experiencing quite aggressive growth at this stage from the adverts you set up in phase 2. And the things in phase 3 are going to let you maintain your students or even grow a bit without having to run paid adverts all the time. Well, unless you want to. That takes us into phase 4. So what's involved in phase 4? This is thinking about what you want to do long term with the teaching business. Maybe you're pretty happy with where things are. At this stage, you should have anywhere from 20 to 30 to 35 students. You could be teaching anywhere from 4 to 4 days a week if you want to, or you could teach 7 days a week. It's up to you. Get as many students through the door as you want. But yeah, we're thinking about long-term things. So do you want to set up some group classes for your students? Do you want to teach exclusively in groups or exclusively in one-to-ones or a combination of both? You can do whatever you want to do. Group classes can be absolutely fantastic for your students. It creates a very nice social aspect to the lessons. It lets them jam with each other, so they can jam and practice playing with other people, which is very fun and also great for their musical development. And the other advantage of doing groups is you can make a lot more per hour than you can teaching one-to-one. We could do a bit of both. You could have mainly one-to-ones, a few group classes, mainly group classes with a few one-to-ones. There's a lot of things you can do here. And the main determining factor is, what do you want to do? So a lot of options. So those are what I think the 4 phases of a guitar teaching business are. Now, just checking my notes quickly. Yeah, so how do you know which stage you're at and which stage is going to be applicable to you? Well, largely going to be a function of how many students do you have and what sort of things do you have in place. So if you're just getting started, then phase 1 is going to be applicable to you, finding your first couple of students. If you've been teaching for a few years, but you're not very happy with your calendar, maybe your calendar's not as full as you'd like it to be, then probably going to be thinking about going straight into phase 2. You've already got some teaching skills, you've probably got a few advertising things in place, but if your calendar's empty, then you've probably not been running paid advertising or running it as aggressively as you could be. If you're already quite busy with your teaching, then maybe you're thinking about going into phase 3 or phase 4, where you can maybe get some of your students into group lessons so they can still get a lot of value, they can still have a lot of fun, they can still improve their guitar playing, but you have a bit more time on your hands because, let's face it, nobody wants to be working 12 hours a day, every day, just to make an income. So those are what I think the 4 phases are, how you can largely diagnose which phase you're in. If you've got any questions, do let me know.